you're a new offense. Coach DeBoer comes in. What do you see differently going in here? Because you have a very unique skill set. Like you're a very elite athlete. You see yourself slinging it a whole lot more going in this fall?
I think I can do whatever I want. Whether run it, throw it, like I can do whatever I want to in this offense. So if I want to choose to run the whole game, I can choose to run the whole game. If I can choose to throw this game, I can choose to throw this game. And I'm just very, confident in our coaching staff, confident in what they see in the future as far as our offense. But speak about Coach DeBoer. Coach DeBoer has done a really good job in the relationship aspect. Coach is going to coach, whether it's talking about offense, talking about defense, talking about special teams. Coach is going to be a coach. That's their job, is to be a coach and influence us in a positive way to get us to be successful in whatever form or fashion they see it as. But for me, I look at it as, all right, he comes here. He doesn't know us. He doesn't know us at all. But he took the initiative to get to know every single player on the whole team. And then he figured out who the leaders of the team was. And the same day that he got here, he sat down all the leaders on the team and he had a notebook and was taking notes of the comments that we had about what the standard is here, what makes up Alabama, about us as people, where we're from, how many siblings do you have, what's your hobbies, all that stuff on the same day he got here, the same day. And from there, I said, man, we got someone special. Mm-hmm. He truly cares about us. He truly cares about the program in itself, And that was my initial thought process on Coach DeBoer. Talk about the coach aspect of it. He's offensive minded, so it's really good for me as a quarterback to be under him. He does a lot of great stuff on offense. For me, I'm a student of the game, so I like to look at where he's been at. And whatever quarterback they have is really explosive in the passing game. And he does a really good job on offense and, with the concepts and stuff like that and all the different things that take place with the offense. So that's been great. And then also he's withholding what the standard is at Alabama. It's a big program to step into, and it just shows who he is as a person to stepping in this leader role as our head coach. So it's been great. It's been great to have him here. And we're just in May, and we just all believe in him.
Well, same question that we had for Book, like him sitting down and asking what the standard is here, asking about leadership, the spots you've been in. You seem like somebody who is very in tune with awareness and being patient in times of adversity. What are qualities to you that make a good leader?
I think the quality that you have to have is you can't withhold someone into a standard that you don't have set for yourself. That's very important. I think number two, I think you have to be the same guy every single day. One day you can't be happy. One day you can't be mad. One day you can't be inconsistent of your habits and who you are as a person. And that's very important. And then you got to be driven. You got to be driven. You got to be passionate. It's hard to be the man that's passionate and has goals set for themselves, because nothing that you can say, I can say, that can take this man's joy and what he has set for himself and what he wants to accomplish. I think that's very important to any leader. They have to withhold themselves to those 3 things or 4 things I mentioned.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. With Coach DeBoer, you hear about Saban and, intimidating guy. Everything was quiet. You were quiet when the meeting room happened. Yeah. Coach DeBoer comes in. They got music playing before meetings. Now you're doing music at practice. That had to be like a culture shock almost for you. How long did it take for you guys to get used to that?
I will say that was different. I'm gonna be honest with you. That was much different. When Coach Saban came in the room and you talking, I'd be shh, be quiet, boy. You see Coach Saban coming in here, boy. What you doing? What? You see Coach? You see Coach? Shh. You see Coach? That's the initial thought process. And so Coach DeBoer, I'm gonna be real. Coach DeBoer came in. Everybody kept on talking. I'm like, what y'all doing? Everybody kept on talking. I ain't gonna lie. Everybody kept on talking. They just laughed, kiki and keeping on the conversation. But nothing negative. But that's just there's a difference. But I'll say it's just modern. It's just modern to what it is now as far as influencing the guys now in this generation, is that aspect of the music at practice, allowing them to be themselves on an everyday basis and not being too tight. Because when a guy is comfortable and free, that's when you can get the best out of that player. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that I'm seeing now is we're just cutting it loose, not being so tight as we're on the field, as we're preparing, as we're all together. I'm able to see guys' personality more. I will say that I'm able to see that more. And I'm able to see everyone really enjoy the process and not be so hard on themselves and not be critical on themselves, because all the coaches are given the critical, which we do need, but also the positive reinforcement behind it to get us to have the right mental state to be on this journey that we're on.
Yeah, what was that process like for you? Because I'm sure when you go to IMG, the minute they see, oh, this kid got into IMG to play football, they're probably going to throw a scholarship your way.
Oh, for sure.
So you had everybody. Who do like what?
I mean, he's a big boy too. Like,
yeah,
he's
no, bro. I mean, you look fantastic.
Yeah.
This
Thank
dude
you,
squats
thank
the house. He could probably run like
Yeah.
the wind. Like you're a specimen, my friend. But when you had Alabama and all these other schools, let's start with your top 5. What were your top 5?
My top 5 was Florida, Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State, and Alabama, obviously.
Ohio State.
Was it an easy decision? Was this an easy decision for you? Did you always want to? Was it always Bama or was it close?
It was really close. I was kind of put off by Bama at first, just because they started recruiting me a little later. So like that, the back end of I always got like the simple graphics that they send everybody. I always got the little camp invites. I'm like, okay, I have better relationships with other schools. But when it was time to set up my official visits, Coach Gillespie, he's still here. He was like, hey, are you coming to visit us? And in my head, I'm like, no, I'm not going to visit Alabama. I'm going to go somewhere else. And
Where were you thinking about going at that time?
I had a great relationship with Penn State, so I was gonna go there.
Ooh.
And I was actually gonna visit them right before everything got shut down by COVID. So I was like, I always want to visit there. Some of my homeboys were already committed, but I decided to make that my last OV, and I feel like that worked out perfectly because I was able to compare all the other schools to the standard, which is Alabama, and I saw nobody else really compared.
No one else compared.
No.
So when you came here, like, what'd y'all do for your visit?
We just we came around this facility. I
Walked around. We walked around.
Went to the mall.
Yeah, that
There's
means,
another-
hey,
to the mall.
that means he had a good visit.
Yeah, he had a good visit.
He's like,
No doubt.
kind of can't remember.
Did Penn State know you were going to commit? Did they have a good idea that you were going to, like, hey, did you tell any coaches, like, hey, I might actually come here?
So Penn State, like I kind of took them out after I decided to visit Alabama. And it was funny, like the day I got offered by Alabama, the Penn State coach called me. He was like, hey, are we still around? I was like, yeah, of course. But he knew it was going to happen.
He knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
What was it like walking into this building? You see all the national championship rings. You see, I walked into y'all's offensive line room, and there's All-American after All-American. Like, that standard is so high here. Like, what was the intimidation factor for you walking in as an 18-year-old kid?
I don't think there was an intimidation factor just because I had already been through a lot. I've already seen this kind of environment on lower levels. So just taking you through my football journey, I was born and raised in New Haven, Connecticut. I spent my freshman year at Bergen Catholic in New Jersey just to get a higher grade of football. And then I went to IMG. So I'm used to change. I'm used to being put in the fire. So coming here, I knew it was going to be a challenge, but I was ready to embrace it.
Being an upperclassman now, what responsibilities do you feel like you take on now, being the young guy, having those years behind you and being more of a leader in the locker room?
I feel like I stepped into that leadership role last year when Bryson Will left. So that's something that we really focused on, spreading that the weight of leadership throughout the team. And I feel like that's why we were so much better. So being able to lead and know I have guys that have my back like Malachi Moore, J.C. Latham, Dallas Turner, Jalen Milroe, all those guys knowing that they have my back, leading as a younger guy but still being a leader. Just going into this year, I'm trying to develop some of the other younger leaders on this team because Alabama is only going to be as good as I leave it. You know what I mean? So just like Taylor could talk about how good Michigan is now and how they weren't that good back when he was there.
Yeah.
I want to be able to brag like him. So
Yeah.
making sure I'm developing the next class. So that's why I'm very big into recruiting.
Very good. That's a good way to put it. I was a big recruiter too. It did not pay off.
Hey, you gotta respect it. He's doing a great
He
job.
is doing a good
He's
job.
doing a great
Absolutely.
job.
Absolutely.
What are some of those small things you feel like, trying to mentor those younger guys? Is it being more vocal? Is it more like one-on-one time with guys? Like, what do you feel like you've been trying to develop being a leader?
Trying to balance out like being like in your face and then like pulling guys to the side, making sure I praise guys as much as I correct them. And that's something I was really focused on this spring and just working with some of the younger guys. Like, you know what it's like working with a younger guy and he's making the same mistakes over and over again. It's like, all right, bro, like you messed up on this 4 times in a row. You're obviously not paying attention. So I get on him and then I pull him aside after and just make sure I be like, hey, are you good? Is everything good with you? Okay. So now that everything's fine, I need you to tighten it up. So just really making sure that they understand before you lead other people, you have to lead yourself in a manner that you would want them to imitate.
Where did you learn that?
IMG Academy.
IMG Academy.
Yeah,
Was it guys older than you? Like
it was guys older than me, but we actually had like a leadership class. Like this is stuff that we did on a daily basis. So we had leadership sessions. It was called ADP, right, JP? Yep. It's called ADP. So there were like leadership sessions and mental training, things like that. So like something I took from mental training at IMG is like visualization. So like before every game, I put a towel over my head and I immerse myself into the game that I'm about to play. So like I think about what my gloves feel like, how tight my pads are, what it's gonna smell like, what it's gonna sound like. So like I'm really in the game, and then I just look at the script, see the play, run the play on my head, next play, and I just go through the whole script just so I essentially play the game mentally. Now I just have to go out and do it physically. So little things like that just help me become the player I am today.
You got a good head on your shoulders, brother.
He's got a solid. And like the development. You don't understand this, but the development you have right now, as far as from a mental process, is above and beyond what most guys are at right now. It's very impressive. With Nick Saban, you came here. He was the head coach.
Yes.
When you heard the news that he was retiring, like how did that affect you? Because everybody came here to play with the greatest college football coach of all time.
Of course. I was hurt, obviously. That was my initial reaction. I was just like, oh my gosh. Like I was expecting him to come in there and kind of rip us about the Michigan game. Not so much rip us, be like, hey, this is why we lost and here's how we're going to correct it. Here's how we're going to get back there and then get further. That's what I was expecting. So for him to go up there and retire, it was really a shock to me. But I've just been embracing it because I've always been big on legacy. Like how am I going to leave my legacy here? And I feel like there's no better way to leave my legacy than win a national championship with Coach DeBoer.
When Coach Saban does retire, does your antennas go up on thinking, hey, who's going to be the next guy in here? Maybe I hit the portal now that we're in the portal generation, the portal era. Well, what was that process like for you? Was it sitting back and kind of observing who was going to be next?
Yeah, sit back and observe. But to be honest, the portal was never an option for me just because I have too many roots planted here as far as like my teammates and everybody in this building and then this community as well. So like I mentioned earlier, like I've been moving all around the place, all around since I was even in middle school. I didn't mention this. I went to middle school an hour and a half away. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I just been moving my whole life, and Tuscaloosa has given me the first real sense of community in my life, and I really wasn't willing to let that go.